I'm a firm believer that if you love to do something, then you should get out there and do it. And in the last few years, I became obsessed with skiing. And I didn't let not having anyone to go with stop me from doing what I love. And at this point, I've skied way more by myself than I have with other people. As of this last season, I've officially skied more than 100 days alone, both in the US and all over Europe, which is where I'm based. So I'm often asked, is it safe to ski alone? I say yes, and in some ways I could argue that skiing alone can sometimes even be safer than skiing with other people. I notice that when I'm alone, I'm just more alert. And when you're skiing alone, you're less likely to be distracted, and there's also just less pressure to do things that you don't want to do, or aren't prepared to do, or don't feel well enough to do, or don't know how to do. So when you ski alone, you can be really mindful about how you feel, and you can choose to go slower if you want, and you can choose to take breaks as often as you want, and you can choose to stop whenever you want. And on top of all these factors, in this video, I will share my tips for how to be even safer when you ski alone. And it's important to note that all the claims and recommendations I make in this video are based on my own experiences skiing alone on piste, within designated ski stations and resorts. I would never recommend skiing alone off-piste or in the backcountry. So my first tip is to get familiar with the trail maps and check the status before you go. When you ski alone, one of the skills that will certainly become sharper will be your ability to navigate trail maps. Even if you're visiting a station or a resort that you've skied before with other people, going alone is its own experience, so it just helps to review the trail map and to make a plan. It only takes a moment to study the map ahead of time, so you can get familiar with the lifts you'll need to take to access certain areas, or it can help you remember which runs you'll need to ski in order to get back down to your car or to the village. And depending on the station, sometimes their website will have a tool that shows the live status of all their lifts and trails so that you can plan accordingly if part of your intended route happens to be closed. My next tip is to always stay within sight or within earshot of a lift or a trail. Like I said, I don't recommend skiing off-piste alone, but it is possible that a maintained run within a resort may lead you through trees or glades. And sometimes on a day after heavy snow, the boundaries of a run may not be easily distinguishable. This is especially true in Europe, where sometimes trails are not as strictly defined as they are in the US. If you need to call out to someone to ask for help, it's much easier to do so if you're close to the trail or a lift. And on that same note, another helpful tip is to wear bright, visible colors, which can be helpful on any day, but it can be essential on a day when the weather can change drastically and when visibility can become poor. And days like that are not always easy to predict. I've found myself in situations where fog or a cloud or a storm rolled in quickly and the visibility changed from great to nearly zero in a matter of minutes. So, wearing high visibility colors can help other skiers and patrollers spot you easily. I have a bright yellow outfit that I love from the brand Half Days. I got it a few years ago, but they usually always have a bright color in their collection. So I'll link my set in the description below if you're interested in checking them out. My next tip to be safer when you're skiing is to skip the music and avoid wearing headphones. When I started to ski alone, I used to wear earbuds and listen to music since I didn't really have to talk to anybody, but I've since quit that habit. And I know that listening to a great playlist can be a nice complement to your solo skiing experience, but it can also lower your awareness of your surroundings. If someone needs to get your attention and is calling out to you, it may be harder to hear them if you're listening to music. And similarly, I always think if I was in a situation where I was in need of help and had to call out to a stranger, I would hope they didn't have music blasting in their ears. Another tip is to always let someone know what station you plan on skiing. This can be a quick text to a friend or a family member before you head out to ski, or you can share your location automatically through something like Apple's Find My Friends, or on Google Maps you can set up sharing with certain contacts. Or what I use personally is the Slopes app, which tracks your skiing in real time, and it also has a feature which lets you share a link that anyone can access via a web browser to see your live location anywhere on the mountain. My next tip is to consider taking a course for avalanche awareness. I think that having a false sense of security in terrain you assume is safe can be more dangerous than consciously skiing in terrain that you know is more challenging. And becoming a bit more familiar with weather patterns and snow conditions will help you be more knowledgeable overall, and it will help you gain insight into the potential dangers that can exist on the mountain, even within the boundaries of a ski resort. I've only taken one official day of an avalanche awareness course so far when I was in Chamonix, and the training and information that was covered in the session was eye-opening and extremely valuable, and it's motivated me to continue learning about how I can be better prepared in case of an emergency. So, along that same note, something else that you can do to be more safe is to use RECCO reflectors to be more searchable. And I want to stress that these are not a replacement for avalanche training, transceivers, or other avalanche gear. But RECCO reflectors can be used to make you more searchable to professional rescue teams based in ski stations or resorts. They work by bouncing a signal that is sent by a RECCO detector, and they do not require any training or maintenance for the person wearing it. Many ski apparel brands are now embedding these little devices in their jackets and pants, but you can also buy individual reflectors that can easily be attached to a helmet or a backpack. So I will link those in the description below for you too. And then my last tip to be safer when you're skiing alone is to always end your day earlier than you plan. So I had mentioned earlier that one of the benefits of skiing solo is having the freedom to decide when you're done for the day. As a rule of thumb, I tend to call it a day one run before I think I should to avoid pushing myself. Because it's important to keep in mind that usually at the end of the day, you might have to ski through poor conditions near the bottom of the mountain or crowded beginner areas. And these places are where your senses and reflexes need to be the most sharp, so I would recommend to never overexert yourself before that point. So those are my tips. I hope that this has been helpful. If you're thinking about heading out to ski on your own and are wondering if it's safe, then hopefully these tips can help you feel more prepared. Or you can share this video with someone that you know that loves to ski on their own. I've also posted other videos about my advice and my experience skiing, so feel free to check those out. And my channel is really about getting out of your comfort zone and about prioritizing your hobbies and knowing that it's never too late to try new things. So if that sounds like you, then don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.